She said, I can't believe that's the same ex who tried to hit you and told you you were one of the ugliest people he'd ever hooked up with. He seems so nice. And that's the thing with people like that. They do have their charming sides. In this case, I like to think that he did change. So what happened was I had an ex in college who was not great. He indeed told me I was one of the in the bottom 25% of people he'd ever hooked up with looks wise, that I could love him, but he would never love me. Tried to hit me when I broke it off, and then hooked up with a mutual friend to get back at me. So once I graduated, I visited Florida to visit a friend, and he was working in Florida. And he found out, I guess through Facebook, that I was there. And he was like, hey, I'd really like to see you. I was so good not to see him. But when I was telling the story with my friend, who was a psychiatry student, and by the way, is a wonderful psychiatrist, she was like, if you want, I will come with you. It might give you closure, and we can eject at any time. We also don't have to do it at all. She's like, I just want to offer you that if you still have things you need to say to him, this might be the safest way to do it, with like a friend who's there for you and knows your mind and also is a kick-ass fencer, so I can kick his ass with you. So that felt pretty good. So we went out and saw him and his boyfriend. He was dating someone who I will be nice and say was not on the same level as him. And so I only say that because this was something he disparaged me about, and yet clearly was not actually something that mattered to him. He clearly connected with this person because they seemed to get along really well. And when we were at the club and we were like moving through the crowd at one point, he took my friend's hand to make sure we didn't lose her. I kept trying to work up the courage to say how awful he'd been to me and how I really, really was mad at him and how I'd felt strongly about him for so long. Even when I studied abroad, I missed him, even though I was broken up with him, even though I remembered everything he'd done. But what stopped me ultimately from saying anything was not fear, but it was when he was talking animatedly about RuPaul's Drag Race in line for the bar. And I was like, oh, I've never watched RuPaul's Drag Race. And he was like, shh, people might hear you. So in some ways, he'd never changed because he was the one who brought it up. And then he was embarrassed to have people hear about him. I was like, this person is just deeply ashamed, still deeply closeted in a way. And from then on, I was freed of it.